Welcome to another episode of an architect and a DJ build a home podcast.
So if you're laughing like that, then it means something was happening behind the scenes.
Yes, she's the architect, I'm the DJ. All right, today we're looking at the very, interesting, controversial, touchy subject of
Touchy.
more touchy than anything, hey, of money. Do you have it? Do you not have it? Yeah, something like that. But we're looking at finances and we're talking about money today.
Yeah.
So, what exactly are we going to be looking into today concerning money?
Okay, so really, we're looking at one of the ways projects go wrong. As you said, we're talking about money. And the simple reality is that usually people don't have money to build the house that they're building. Or they start and they don't have the entire amount. And it does get uncomfortable to face the reality of, I can't afford this. And usually I think the response is to bury your head in the sand and say, okay, we'll wait and see. Or we'll just start and see.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, we'll figure it out as we go along. But for something as resource heavy and as complex a project as a house, that's definitely not a good strategy. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about today.
Okay, but since we're talking about money,
Yeah.
the reality is in our environment, when it comes to building, a lot of times, not in all cases, but a lot of times what happens is that people will start building with whatever they have.
Yeah.
And then they figure it out as they go. And the truth is, a lot of people have managed to finish their building like that. And so what happens is when another person is thinking of building, they'll ask people who've somehow done it like that and say, hey, listen, this is how I did it, so go ahead. Go ahead and start with whatever you have. Yes, and they'll probably give examples. When I started, I probably had maybe like 1,000 kwacha, 5,000 kwacha. I'd buy a few pockets of cement. I'd buy a few blocks of cement, take them to the plot, do the foundation, stop, roof level, stop, until I managed to finish my house.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people have managed somehow to build their homes like this. So when it comes to finances, when is the right time to start building?
Yeah. I think in answering, I want to be sensitive to the fact that we are in a very difficult environment. If you're building, most likely you're doing it from your own resources. You're having to save. You're not likely. Not a lot of people are able to access loans. That's not the reality for a lot of people. So I am cognizant of the environment that we're in. It is difficult. It's tough, and these are tough times. We've had a really tough time, like the economy and everything. But I think there's always wisdom that can be applied in the way we walk. One of the things that I've come to appreciate are conversations that, in the financial literacy space right now. There's a lot of information that I must admit that when I was like much younger, I didn't know anything about like financial planning and investing and how to put your money. And there are ways in which that we have to like educate ourselves and do something different.
Yeah.
So sometimes the money conversation sometimes the money conversation is sort of like pushing us to see things from a different perspective, see things differently, that perhaps what we're doing is not the best way. When I look at, and I'll admit here I don't have all the answers, but the discussion we're having is just to spark off some thoughts and some conversation around it. So when I look at how people are building, so you get a bit of money, you have enough money for 10 blocks or whatever number of blocks and bags of cement, you do up to a certain level. Then it takes a while. So then you have these projects that can be going on 5-7 years. Now the issue with that is that money is being locked up somewhere where you can't use it. So I'm not so sure that that's a wise way to do it. And even from a building perspective, the longer that you take from a project perspective and a planning and management perspective, the longer you take, the more expensive it is. And with building, when you have a contractor, for instance, contractors like to get onto a project and move off quickly, right? So now let's say you're building over a long period of time. He has to put his resources to start the project, and it takes a lot of resources, organize people, start the project. He does a short bit, then he goes off. He can't keep paying those laborers that he got to do the first part you did, isn't it? If he's got no other work, he's not going to keep them.
Yeah.
So that start stop, operationally it becomes a bit difficult as well. So from a project perspective and even getting people, it's not the ideal situation to have your project start stop like that. I think, to answer your question.
Before you answer my question, you know
Yeah.
what? Let me just, I'm diverting a little bit here. But
Yeah.
do we have an episode where we talk about the importance of having a contractor on a project in this?
We can.
We should. Because how many people who have embarked on home building projects have a contractor? Not many. Most people decide to do it on their own.
On their own.
Yeah, so we should talk
Okay.
about the importance of having a contractor.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Carrying on about finances.
Your question was, when is the right time to
Yes.
start? So I think the right time to start, I think you need to have a good percentage of the money available. If you don't have it available, you know where you're going to get the financing from. So if you're saying that, okay, I'm going to get a loan, so one, you know exactly how much it's going to cost you. You know the cost of the project. You've got the information that's telling you that this is how much it's going to cost. You've got the resources. You know that, okay, I've got these savings here. With my salary, I'm able to put this amount, or I'm able to get money from here, and then that's the ideal way.
A good percentage. What is that percentage?
I don't know. I don't know what that percentage
what are we
is.
looking-
You're asking me questions that I don't know. No, more than that.
70%.
I think you should be able to say, if you're told that your project is 1.2 million kwacha or 1.8 million kwacha, you know where that money is going to come from. You have that.
You know beforehand.
Yes, you know that, okay, we've got this, or each month I'm able to do this amount for us to finish this project in 12 months, or like those details. I can't tell you how much it is that you need to have. Ideally, you should have everything, but
In a perfect world,
yes,
that would
have
be-
everything.
yes,
In the
but
perfect world,
like we
you've got the
said,
finances,
it's-
but
yeah.
yes. But starting where, one, you don't know how much it costs, where I don't think that's an ideal situation at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know if that answers.
I think it
Didn't.
helps. I hope it helps. But on a
Yeah.
project, Are you done? Or I can move on, or
You
was
can-
something else you wanted to say?
Well, the question that I have is, I wonder why it's so difficult for us to talk about money. The conversation around money is very difficult. A lot of times when couples, individuals are embarking on a project, and this is not even. This can also be like professionals like myself. There have been some professionals who want to build, and then you ask them, they're like, "No, I just started." So you ask at the beginning of a project, how much do you have? How much do you want to spend on this project, right? And the common answer is, I'll wait and see. I'll wait and see what the BOQs and the drawings tell me. Now, the thing with getting BOQs and drawings is that they are a result of a process, and that the idea of that process is to get you to a point where you've got something that is within your budget. So before you start it, you need to give the parameters. You need to say that, okay, I'm working with this amount.
And by the way, you need to, somebody who has no idea what BOQ is.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Like,
A BO.
what? Sounds like, what, a barbecue, BOQ? What is it? Please explain.
And Sharon there behind the scenes
She's
is laughing.
yes. Can we speak English?
Yeah, Sharon, by the way, is our director who helps us. So
The
yeah.
producer extraordinary.
Yes, and she's like, yeah,
camera.
please. So BOQs is short for bills of quantities.
Okay.
And bills of quantities are basically a breakdown of what it is that you're going to build.
Okay.
It's like a description of what it is you're going to build. There's a quantity that is put to that, and that is what a contractor uses to price
The project.
the project. Yes. So bills of quantities are prepared by quantity surveyors, a professional built environment professional called a quantity surveyor, who's like an accountant on a building project. And what they do is that they itemize every single thing in the project. So if it's blocks, this is the number of blocks. And then they create this document that can then be priced by a contractor.
Okay.
Yeah. So to get to this process of where you've got BOQs or where you've got drawings, the professionals who create them, so the drawings are done by an architect, and the professionals who create them need parameters to work with. So if you say, I can afford this amount, then they work towards that amount. But in order for you to say that, you need to count you need to actually sit down and see in your finances, like, okay, how much can we actually afford?
Yeah.
So that the process is sort of like moving with what it is that you have. Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you say, okay, I'll see, that's like saying, how long is a piece of string, you know?
You say.
Yes, and the process of getting drawings and BOQs actually costs money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always wonder, I wonder why it's so difficult for us to talk about money, or like if it's something that feels out of our reach, or if it feels that the answer I will get is that I can't get what I want.
I don't want to hear it. I don't hear it. I
Yeah,
don't
it
talk
becomes
about
like
it. We could, you know what? I was going to ask, and maybe we'll leave this for another episode. I was going to ask, like for us personally,
yeah.
how do we do when it comes to talking about money? But that is a very long conversation.
Which we should have one
Which we
day
should have.
and be
Yes,
honest
we should,
about it.
honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm looking at the time, and we won't get into it. Not in this episode. Maybe in the next one. Yes,
Honest
we
about
should,
it.
honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I'm looking at the time, and yeah, we won't get into it. Not in this episode. Maybe in the
Yeah.
next one. But on a project, how can you tell that things are going wrong with money?
So I think things like, so you have an example of maybe you want to get drawings done. You get a quote from an architect and it's too high. You're shocked by how much they charge. So then you get a drafts person to do it who will charge you, it will be cheaper. Or maybe where work that should ideally be done by a contractor who has experience in engineering, that does come with a cost of getting a professional, but then maybe it's felt that it's too much. So then you get like a bricklayer instead, who doesn't have the example. This one shocking example we had. These are just examples.
I know this one.
Yeah, where we had a couple who we know, and they're telling us about progress with the building, and the husband says that, you know,
The husband, who's an accountant.
yes, he's an accountant, and he says that no, the engineer, he specified this amount of steel, and I felt it was too much, so I just told the builder, no, just take out some, and I was in shock.
I know.
Like, no.
He was actually making changes to the building.
Yes. So these changes are being made to adjust to what your reality of financing is.
Yes.
And really, it shouldn't be made at that point. You should be figuring it out from the get-go. Yeah. Those are a few examples. I'm sure there are other examples and that are out there,
Yeah.
but that's generally how it plays out.
Yeah.
That usually what you thought it would cost is a lot more
Yeah.
than what it actually is, and you find that you're not actually ready to take on this project.
So in situations like that, what does one do?
So I think that it definitely is something like a case-by-case basis. But it's a situation of assessing where your project is and making adjustments if you need to. It's possible to do that, but it depends on where it is that you are in the project. So it's not that if you're in this situation you can't find a solution. I'm sure there is, but the situation would have to be assessed. But usually what it requires is adjusting what your initial scope was.
Yeah.
If you haven't gone too far along in the process, it's much easier. So if you're just at the drawing stage and you realize, oh, I can't manage this, it's possible to take a few steps back. But it always needs an acknowledgement that, okay, there's something wrong here and we have to address it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are those your words of encouragement?
No, not really words of encouragement. I think, yeah, it's good to end with a having no. I think
so. Words of encouragement to people having such issues with finances on their project.
Yeah,
There is hope.
There is hope. I think the beauty. Because when we're doing the show, we're looking at couples who are building together. So I think the beauty of doing a project as a couple is that there's never a point where you're on your own.
Yeah.
They're the two of you. You've each got skills, you've each got strengths and abilities that you can combine to make your project successful.
True.
And also when things are difficult, you've got somebody to you've got somebody to walk through with it. It makes it easier. And
two is better than one.
Yeah. And I think there are several projects. I mean, even when we were doing the research for this show, there's a couple who said it's the husband who actually said that they go through difficulties, but it's like such joy to be able to get to the other side of it and see that you've gone through something tough together.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just just an encouragement that it's not a bad thing that you want to build a house, and it's a good thing, and you can do it together. You've got the resources together. You've got the ability to do it together, and yeah.
I like that. All right, I think we should stop right there and end right there with those words of encouragement.
An Architect and a DJ Build a Home podcast is a Home Build Zambia production, recorded and produced in Lusaka. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mphangela, I'm the architect. Video recording by Sharon, music by Bless the Creative, technical support provided by Bless the Creative. You can find us on Instagram at home_build_Zambia or on our website, homebuildzambia.com, or contact us by email, podcast@homebuildzambia.com. Thank you for listening.